authentic power and ancient power is what's asking to come back through us. And as it's doing that, it's breaking all the very tight ways that our society is being held. And there are many things in our society that are good, so you have to be careful to just want to throw everything away. But there are other aspects that need to loosen. And so, for example, there are two things that are kind of showing up at the moment. There is the unearthing of everything grounded in our world. So this is where things that we used to do, for example, everybody used to go out to a restaurant together, or to a theater, or to just a gathering place, or to the park, to the skateboard park. You know, there were things that used to be able to be done in a very grounded way that have been removed. So the unearthing of those grounded things can put you in depression, can put you in grief, can put you in reaction, but it also allows for more multidimensional awareness and connection to rise. That's why more people are becoming intuitive. That's why a lot more people are beginning to see and sense things in ways that they didn't before, including looking at our existing world in ways that they didn't before, in a very new way. So that's where Planetary Awakening is on. But it's also the unearthing of everything in the shadows. So this allows healing to occur. So if you look at what's been going on with racial injustice in the last month alone, that is one example of the unearthing of everything that has previously been shadowed, hidden from view, held down, unacknowledged. Suddenly it's up. And this is where the healing process can be very painful. It can be very re-traumatizing, it can be very heartbreaking, it can be angering, it can be so many things. But we have to let all of that move through us before we are able to step forward and create something new. We have to go through the healing. And it's messy, it's ugly, and this is why I said earlier, also be patient with others, because everybody is feeling the stress in some way or another. Sure, there are many who are having a far harder time than others, so with those people you have to be extra helpful, extra supportive, extra patient. But everybody, no matter what their circumstance, is feeling the uncertainty and the unease of this time, because one of the things that is really showing up right now are safety triggers on the planet. The way I see it, that kind of falls down to three different areas. Is the system of this world safe? Is the planet safe? Is my body safe? Wherever you fall on any of those three things, you might be very focused on feeling that the system of our world isn't safe. You might be very focused on your body and fear about illness and health. You might be very focused on the planet, the environment. But the safety triggers that we're all going through, it tends to move you off your axis. And it tends to move you into a more highly emotionally reactive place, and sometimes a place where we lose our mind. And we're not thinking clearly, and we're no longer logically assessing things. We're so emotionally reactive, we'll hang on to the first thing that we hear and we'll jump behind it. So this is why we have to stay grounded in these times and continue to ground, because none of us have a map around what it's like to be grounded in these times. Even the most practiced people around grounding, they too, the axis has moved. The axis of balance has moved for them. So very uneasy times, very interesting times, dark and light energy spikes, safety triggers, the unearthing of everything grounded, and the unearthing of everything in the shadows is part of what goes on. And earlier I mentioned something, and I kind of pointed to, I think it will be a very messy and uncomfortable world rebirth for the next few years in a certain way. But the thing that's really important to remember is we're here creating it too. And it can be very easy to get seduced into a narrative that tells you you have no influence. And that's not true. The influence we have energetically is enormous. A friend just told me the other day about how people have been holding vigil where George Floyd was murdered, and they have been holding a spiritual vigil there all of this time. And I thought to myself, wow, no wonder on some level that has helped to keep what George is a figurehead for, because George is one in a long line of many, but George is a figurehead, and that smoke signal, that spiritual energy, that prayer, that healing has helped to raise this to the surface, has helped to keep in view what needs to be in view right now to heal and to change. So it doesn't have to look a certain way for you. So it's very important for you to harness your skills, harness your intentions. So how you would like to see not only your life in the next year or two start to show up, but what are you holding for the planet? What are you holding for us as a world? What are your intentions, your prayers for us as a world? And to pour some spiritual energy towards that, whether your faith is religion, whether your faith is spirituality, whether you never were into religion or spirituality until 4 months ago, and then the world went crazy and you went, hang on a second, I'd better find some way of having a way to channel my energy and be a part of the solution. And that's very much the task at hand for all of us now. So harness your skills, maybe learn some new skills. Maybe this is the time to learn a few new things. And you probably are, like all of us, learning a few new things anyway by default, because you're alive in the middle of 2020. Harness your intentions and think about what you would like the world to look like for you and for others. Harness your learnings, but also harness your heart energy. Your heart energy isn't something that you always have to be showering on others. Sometimes you get depleted, you get tired, you have to step back. Your heart energy is the part of you that can feel that your heart is alive and connected, because when that goes away for too long, that's when we start to spin off our center. When we are too in fear, when we are too in fear thoughts, when we are too in extreme traumatic circumstances, we start to forget how to feel and locate our heart energy. So whatever it takes for you to find your heart energy, do find it and keep feeding it and keep nurturing it. Give yourself good people, places, things, experiences regularly to keep yourself balanced. Because we're only halfway through the year right now. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting ride, 2020. But you have the ability to forge with 2020 rather than feel like 2020 is just dragging you around, which I know is how many people have felt. And that takes us into a lower vibration of creation. When we're able to feel those feelings, transmute them, and come back to going, okay, I'm alive. What am I going to do differently today? How am I going to see what I can do to help someone else, to help myself, to carve a path that might be good for me, my family, the world? Then you get back into that intentional creative action.